It's 6:40 in the evening and you are negotiating with someone who cannot tie their own shoes. 3 Ps. That's the deal on the table. 3 Ps and then the yogurt, and you have already come down from 5, which means you have already lost, and both of you know it. Your toddler looks at you with the flat, patient expression of a hostage negotiator who has all night. So you say the thing, you say just one bite, and it works. Sometimes. The pea goes in, the face contorts, the yogurt is dispensed, and you feel a small, clean flicker of victory. Dinner survived. But the real answer is far stranger than that. Because you did not just teach your toddler to eat a pea, you taught them what a pea is for. A pea, they now understand, is the price of yogurt, and a price is something you pay. It is not something you want. Have you ever noticed that the foods you had to bribe them to eat are still, 3 years later, the foods you have to bribe them to eat? Let's go back to 1982 to a room at the University of Illinois and to a researcher named Leann Birch. Birch spent her career studying something almost nobody was studying at the time: how children learn to like food, not what they eat, what they like. And she suspected the two were not the same thing at all. So she ran an experiment that sounds almost too simple to matter. She gave young children a drink, a perfectly pleasant drink, nothing strange about it. But she split the children into groups, and she changed only one thing between them. For one group, the drink was just a drink. For another group, the drink was a way to get something. Drink this and you get to play. Drink this and you earn the reward. Both groups drank. That was never the problem. Then she waited. And she came back later and asked the children a different question. Not do you want it, do you like it? The children who drank it to get something liked it less, measurably less, reliably less. The drink had not changed, the sugar had not changed. The only thing that changed was the sentence wrapped around it. Birch called this a means activity. When a food becomes the means to an end, the child's brain quietly reclassifies it. It stops being food. It becomes a toll. And here is the part that should stop you in your kitchen. It got worse over time, not better. The liking kept sliding downward after the reward was gone. Why would that happen? Why would a child come to dislike something simply because they were paid to swallow it? For that, you have to leave the food entirely. In 1973 at Stanford, 3 researchers named Mark Lepper, David Green, and Richard Nisbet found a group of preschoolers who loved to draw, not tolerated drawing, loved it. Given a free hour and a stack of markers, these children would draw for the sheer pleasure of drawing. So the researchers did something almost cruel in its elegance. They told some of the children that if they drew a picture, they would receive a Good Player Award, a certificate, a gold seal, a ribbon, the kind of thing a 4-year-old finds genuinely magnificent. The children drew. They got their awards. Everyone was delighted. Then the researchers came back weeks later, put the markers out during free play, and offered nothing at all. The children who had been rewarded drew less, noticeably less. They had loved drawing and now they didn't, and nothing had been taken from them except the reward that was never theirs to begin with. This is called the overjustification effect, and the name explains it perfectly once you slow down. Your toddler already had a reason to do the thing. It was a small, quiet, internal reason. This is nice. I like this. Then you walked in and handed them a bigger, louder, external reason. Do it for the sticker, do it for the yogurt. And the brain, being efficient, drops the quiet reason and keeps the loud one. Why hold 2 explanations when one will do? Now take the sticker away. What's left? Nothing. You didn't add motivation. You replaced it. So when you tell a 3-year-old that the broccoli buys the ice cream, you are not adding a reason to eat broccoli. You are deleting the only reason that would have lasted. But maybe you're thinking, fine, no dessert bribes. I don't do that. I just encourage. I just sit there and gently, warmly, lovingly ask them to try it. Stay with me because this one is worse. In 2006, Amy Galloway, working with Leann Birch, published a study with a title that will feel personally addressed to you. It was called Finish Your Soup. They brought young children in for a meal, they gave them soup, and then they changed one variable and only one. In some sessions, the adult sat quietly and let the child eat. In others, the adult did what every loving parent on earth does. They encouraged. Just a little more. You're doing so well. Try one more spoon. No threats, no punishment, no dessert dangled. Just warm, well-meaning pressure from an adult who cared. Do you want to guess what happened to how much the pressured children ate? They ate less. The children who were encouraged to eat more ate less, and they said more negative things about the food while they did it. Yuck. I hate this. This is disgusting. The pressure didn't just fail to work, it manufactured the dislike in real time, out loud, at the table. Think about what that means about the moment you are living in every single evening. The gentler you push, the more you push, and every push is information. Your toddler is not evaluating the soup. Your toddler is evaluating you, evaluating the soup. And here's what they conclude, in their small, sharp, wordless way. Grown-ups don't have to be talked into things that are good. Nobody encourages you to eat a cookie. So the answer is obvious now, isn't it? No rewards, no pressure. Put the food down, say nothing, walk away. Except that is not what the research says. And this is where it gets genuinely strange. In 2011, a team at University College London led by Lucy Cook, working with Jane Wardle, took a group of children and a vegetable those children actively disliked, not neutral, disliked. And they gave the children a reward for tasting it, a sticker, a small, dull, unremarkable sticker, every day for 12 days. By the standard story, this should have been a disaster. Bribery, overjustification, ruin the vegetable forever. It did the opposite. The children liked the vegetable more, not just during the study. At follow-up, months later, the liking held. So how can Birch be right and Cook be right at the same time? Look very closely at what the reward was for. Birch rewarded consumption, drink the whole thing to get the prize. Galloway pressured consumption, finish your soup. In both cases, the message to the child was the same. Swallowing this is a job, and jobs need wages. Cook rewarded something else entirely. Cook rewarded a taste. One tiny taste. Not a portion, not a plate, not finishing. There was no wrong amount because there was no amount. Put it in your mouth, notice it, and you're done. And that distinction is the whole thing, because it decides what your toddler learns. Reward the eating and you teach them the food is worthless. Reward the tasting and you have not made a claim about the food at all. You have simply arranged for them to meet it again, because that's what was actually happening in Cook's study. The sticker wasn't the medicine. The sticker was the reason the child showed up. 12 days, 12 exposures, 12 chances for a nervous system to file something under known instead of unknown. Jane Wardle had already shown this a few years earlier in 2003 with a red pepper and a group of children who wanted nothing to do with it. Exposure did the work, not persuasion, not incentive, just repeated, unpressured contact with the thing until it stopped being an intruder. You are not raising a negotiator. You are raising a nervous system that decides, without consulting anyone, what counts as safe. And a nervous system does not respond to arguments, it responds to repetition. So look again at what you're doing at 6:40. You have been trying to win tonight's dinner. That was never the game. Tonight's dinner does not matter, and it has never mattered. And every calorie you have negotiated onto that spoon has been paid for with something you cared about far more. The pea on the plate that goes untouched is not a loss. It is exposure number 4. And exposure number 4 is doing more work than every bite you have ever bargained for. This is the part that is hard, and it's hard because it asks for the one thing that is in shortest supply at the end of the day, not patience, nerve. The nerve to put it down and say nothing, the nerve to let a plate come back full and not read it as failure. The nerve to understand that your face in that moment is louder than the food, and that a toddler who watches you brace for the rejection has already learned there is something here worth rejecting. Ellen Satter spent decades putting this into one clean line. You decide what is served and when and where. They decide whether and how much. Those are 2 different jobs, and the second one was never yours. You cannot make a child eat. You have known this the entire time. What the research adds is sharper and more uncomfortable than that. You cannot make a child eat, but you can absolutely make a child not want to, and you can do it with love, with patience, with a kind voice, and with the best intentions anyone has ever brought to a kitchen table. So what happens if you stop? Nothing, at first. That's the honest answer. The plate comes back full. It comes back full again. It comes back full a third time, and you will feel, physically in your chest, the pull to say something. Just one bite. Don't. Because on the 8th night, or the 14th, or the 20th, something small happens that you almost miss. A hand moves, a pea goes in, no sticker, no yogurt, no audience, and no one has to be paid because no one is being asked. It's 6:40 in the evening, and you are not negotiating with anyone.